You open that.
Should fit in here.
I mean,
Ooh, bloody.
oh, all right.
What'd you say?
Bloody towels. There's in here. She's in there.
In a quiet Roseville neighborhood, a brutal act of betrayal and deceit unfolded, shocking an entire community. This documentary delves into the intricate details of a mother's murder, the subsequent investigation, and the dramatic legal proceedings that followed.
In November 2019, a devastating act occurred in a modest Roseville home. A 69-year-old mother was fatally shot, and the chilling details soon emerged. The evidence pointed to Carol Ray, a 50-year-old daughter whose actions stunned investigators. The crime was premeditated and executed with cold calculation. Ray concealed her mother's body in a large plastic tote, a method both macabre and methodical. The shocking discovery would later reveal a hidden chapter of the case. Even as the murder took place, suspicious transactions continued on the victim's financial accounts. The unauthorized activity suggested a deeper, more calculated plan. On January 14, 2020, family members requested a welfare check, sparking an urgent police response. Officers arrived at approximately 10 a.m., setting off a chain of startling revelations. At the scene, officers encountered Ray, whose evasive responses immediately raised concerns. Her behavior added layers to an already complex investigation. A subsequent search warrant led officers to a detached garage where the concealed body was discovered.
You are? Is Patricia here?
No, she's not here right now. She's with her sister.
Who's her sister?
Carol.
Carol? Where does she stay?
She has her own house on Crystal's, their mother's house.
Okay.
We've got pneumonia here, and my mom has COPD.
Okay.
And she didn't want to catch the pneumonia, so she's been staying over there till we're well.
Where's that at?
I don't know exactly. It's in Warren.
Oh, it's in Warren, though? Okay. So she's not here at all? Does she not drive? She just leaves her car here?
Yeah, she doesn't drive very much because she has dizzy spells.
Okay.
That's why I've been living with her for the past year, taking care of her.
I'm just asking because someone was worried they didn't know where she was at.
My son John.
The remains had been stored in a large storage tub, hidden in plain sight. Forensic experts confirmed the victim had been shot in the back of the head, cementing the evidence of a ruthless act. Every detail of the scene was meticulously documented. Neighbors soon became unwilling witnesses to the unfolding drama. One local resident recalled the surreal experience of watching police work in his once peaceful community. Investigators also detained the 34-year-old man, an acquaintance of Ray, for questioning. His release further intensified the focus on Ray's involvement.
Maybe I know she might have done this documentary on the old calendar.
This little girl.
This is my daughter, Allison, her granddaughter.
Hi.
Oh, okay.
Does she live here with you?
Yeah, we live together.
Your grandma?
Yeah.
Or your
My
mom?
mother.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
been staying over at her sister's house for a couple of days because we just got diagnosed with pneumonia and got home from the hospital. I had diverticulitis that ruptured.
Okay.
So I was in there for about 8 days. And
So she's back here though, staying here primarily now? Or she's over at...
clothes. I mean, all of her clothes and everything are here. She came by yesterday, and she was here not last night, but night before last, and she was here yesterday until about 5 p.m. and picked up her medications and a fresh change of clothes and stuff like that.
Okay. The only reason we're here is because your children are concerned about your grandma.
My son John, he sent you guys over last night, which I contacted my mother about, and she had a fit, and I was going to go down to the Roseville Police Department today about it, because within 36 hours I can show you my text messages from John.
Okay.
Like, he tried getting a hold of her, and like I said, I was in the hospital with diverticulitis.
Right.
and had the kids over like the week after Christmas, and my mom had to go with my Aunt Carol to the hospital. Well, there's a little bit of a financial money issue between my mother and my oldest son, John.
Okay.
And he borrows a lot of money from her and doesn't repay it. He's got a truck in the backyard she bought him, and a car in the garage that she bought him that she took back because he didn't pay the insurance on it. So my mom is a very finicky woman, and I told her about it. And I said, John, I want you to call him before noon tomorrow, or he's going to call the police.
Right.
She got pissy about that. Now, call him when I goddamn ready to call him. I got things to take care of.
Right.
Okay.
How old's your mom?
I said, she's 69 this year.
All right.
Where's her room here?
And it's right back here.
Can we just look at it?
Yeah, I see where her clothes are and everything. You want to show them where Grandma
show us?
I'm sorry, baby. You want to show them where Grandma B's room is? Her room's the last one on the right. Allison's is the first one on the left here. We've been letting Natalie
Is there a light?
Yep, we've been letting Natalie sleep in this bedroom since Grandma B spent the night right with Carol so that she can have her stuff on. All my mom's stuff.
And all her clothes are in there?
All my mom's stuff is right there.
Okay.
My mom. This is exactly my mom's Grandma B's toilet she typically uses. Here's fresh clothes that she just washed.
Okay.
All right. We're good. We get the call, you know, and then there's one side of the story and then there's the other, so.
10:30 last night when I was trying to put the baby to bed.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, she's got
so that's
everybody
what,
worked
if he's got everyone worked up, like he said, he might call, someone else might call, and you don't want us showing up here a million times, so we want to just see her in person. Hey, you're fine. That's all we need to do. Okay? Alrighty.
Thank you.
As the investigation deepened, each piece of evidence painted a grim picture of betrayal and calculated deception. The hidden crime scene became a focal point for the case. The case quickly captured community attention, leaving residents in shock and disbelief. The quiet neighborhood was forever changed by the unfolding tragedy. As the investigation evolved, legal proceedings soon zeroed in on Carol Ray. Authorities charged her with first-degree murder, felony firearm use, and grand larceny. Ray's arraignment took place in Macomb, County's 39th District Court. The stark evidence presented left little doubt about the gravity of her actions. During court proceedings, prosecutors detailed how Ray not only ended her mother's life, but also staged a grotesque cover-up. The deliberate impersonation of her mother deepened the betrayal. Documents revealed that Ray had used her victim's phone to send texts to family members. This chilling act of impersonation was a desperate attempt to conceal the truth.
So, I mean, we're concerned because your mom left, but she didn't even pack a bag to go, you know.
For an overnight, she normally won't. Even when she came out to my trailer that I was remodeling up on Hall Road.
So for like an overnight, you don't pack like just a toothbrush, a change of clothes, underwear?
Doesn't have any teeth at all.
Obviously, something's going on here. We're fairly certain something's going on. We need to start fresh, and we need to tell you. We need you to tell us exactly what happened.
Your story's not adding up.
Your story doesn't add up.
Through it very quickly.
You're extremely nervous.
Well, yeah, I had the police here last night and today. Again.
Carol, let's start fresh and tell us what you know. Obviously, something probably happened to your mother, right? Let's not dig ourselves into any more holes. Let's try to start fresh here. Because obviously something's going on here. We're all aware of that. You know something that you're not telling us. That's apparent to us. We're trained investigators. We know when something's not right and something isn't right. You have many people outside of you that are concerned about your mother's whereabouts. Where is she at, Carol?
I don't know, because she honestly said is what she told me when she left here. That's all I know. So when she left here, she didn't take anything more than her purse with her.
So Carol, there is something clearly going on here. And it's clear that you're not telling us the truth. Carol, you understand that we're extremely concerned here. We know something's going on. We don't know exactly what's going on, but we know something's very wrong here. And you are, everything you are doing, everything you are saying is telling us that you know something and you're not telling. I've been an investigator for 12 years. I've been a police officer for 20 plus. I'm telling you, Carol, you know something. You need to think about what happened. We can't change that. We can only change what happens from here on out.
All right, listen to me.
Few things.
You're lying a lot, okay? I'm now at a point where I don't believe anything you're saying, okay? Well, I've now confirmed another part of your story that's wrong. So you need to come clean now. Let me know where your mother's at. If she's in this house or in your garage, that she passed away from natural causes or whatever it is, and you didn't want to do anything because maybe you needed some extra money for Social Security or whatever it is, we can get through it. But right now, what you're doing is you're hiding somebody who's possibly dead, okay?
Absolutely not.
Key dates punctuated the trial, with Ray first arraigned on January 14th, 2020, and a subsequent court date scheduled for January 29th. The community anxiously followed each development. Eyewitness testimonies added a personal dimension to the case. A neighbor's account reflected the lingering shock and fear in the community. Forensic experts provided crucial testimony about the hidden storage of the body. Their evidence was vital in reconstructing the timeline of events. In the courtroom, the prosecuting attorney condemned the methodical cruelty of the crime. His words echoed the collective horror of a community betrayed by one of its own. Financial records exposed Ree's exploitation of her mother's accounts even after her death. Money emerged as a key motivator in a crime marked by both greed and cruelty. Although Ray did not offer an outright confession, the overwhelming evidence was damning. Every new revelation tightened the noose of accountability around her actions. The trial underscored not only the horrific nature of the crime, but also the profound impact on the victim's family. Grieving relatives and community members sought solace in the search for justice. In the aftermath of the trial proceedings, the case left a haunting legacy of betrayal, deception, and loss. The story continues to serve as a grim reminder of the depths of human darkness.
Like I was saying in the house, the further we let this keep rolling, the further it's going to get without you being able to, shed some light on this, okay?
If I say something and it comes out wrong or something like that, I don't want it used against me because it was an accident. And I'm just going to have attorney, so if I explain properly.
If you explain the truth, then it'll come out as the truth.
I don't believe so.
Can I ask you this, Carol? Does this involve anybody else?
What about Ricky?
That night, we were sleeping. I have a Ruger 9mm with a laser between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. in the morning, and I heard loud banging. My daughter and I were sleeping in my room, the bag, and my mom was sleeping on the couch. Anyways, there was a big crash, and it sounded like someone was breaking through the glass window or breaking down the door in the living room. I grabbed my gun and I went running down the hallway and had my finger on the trigger like an idiot. But I went, not running, but walking fast down the hallway. And I hit, with my right foot, I hit the stupid stuff to that police right in my hand like this, and it went off. And it freaked me out. And I didn't know if it hit her in this person. It did because she didn't do anything when I shook her shoulder, and then I heard gurgling. And I screamed, Mom, and I pulled her on the floor, and I noticed that she had blood coming out of her mouth. And then I just panicked from there. I didn't know what to do after that. I only went out from one side. But I thought somebody had broken the window or something like that. There was a huge, loud crash in the front area towards the kitchen.
Carol gave her version of events to the detectives, and of course the detectives found out that it was a lie. The following day, in a second interview, they confronted her about what really happened.
They actually did an autopsy on your mom, and they found some puncture wounds in her neck. 3 puncture wounds. Not an old scar, but actual fresh puncture wounds in her neck. How did those get there? Nothing at all? You didn't stab her with anything after the fact? Not saying you were killing her, but like, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying, I don't know, maybe to put her out of her misery if she was suffering or anything like that.
She didn't even respond. I kept going on her. She didn't even respond from that.
Because here's what I don't want to get caught up, is that once they tell us exactly how deep they were, if it was a cause of death or contributed to cause of death, it can be really bad for you. So we have to get everything out here now. If you did try to do something with those wounds, that they'll cause those wounds or anything like that. So I want you to think right now, what could have possibly caused those puncture wounds in her neck?
I don't know if she had testing or anything like that. I didn't have anything to do with those ones on her neck.
Carol had stabbed and shot her mother to death. The fact that she wouldn't have been able to move her mother's body to the garage by herself was still a question Carol remained silent on the topic. She denied any involvement by her boyfriend Ricky, so detectives interviewed Ricky to see if he would give anything away.
Any questions on any of my rights, Ricky?
I'm just 540.
I'm lost on the whole thing because I don't know what the hell is going on.
We're going to give you some light here and maybe help us out a little bit. And then
Can we start by asking what's your relationship with Carol? We're together. Boyfriend, girlfriend? Yeah. How long you guys been together? Well, 3 years off and on, maybe 2 years. You have any idea what's going on? No, I don't. You have no clue? Somebody at the house said something about Patty is not at her sister's house where Carol was telling you that she was at, and she's missing. When's the last time you physically seen Patty? You guys call her Patricia? Yeah, Patty and Patricia. I don't call her Patty. I physically seen her about, I think it was like a month and a half ago. It was before Thanksgiving. Any financial issues with you or Carol or Patty or anything? No. Nothing? There's been no that you're aware of? Like how did the bills go? Carol took care of the bills. So, do you know where she had the money to if she's not working? She said she had a joint bank account with her mom. So, has Carol been acting strange or suspicious to you or different? She's bipolar, so I always said that she was the world's greatest actress because I can't tell when she's being sincere or not. That's one of the conditions of bipolar. They're compulsive liars, and I've been caught in a lot of her webs before. And lately, I've been telling her she's been feeling more distant lately. Ricky, I mean, I don't really necessarily know you, obviously, but you seem pretty nervous to me. What's going on? Is there something you're nervous about? I'm not nervous about anything. Let me ask you about the garage. You ever go in the garage? No. Never? Hardly ever. When's the last time you think you were in the garage or on the Croners Street? I think we went to go look for a screwdriver for she's, I want to say, either a screwdriver or a hammer. I forgot what we were doing at the time. So we're going to give you the opportunity now to tell us what really happened. That's what happened, and What happened? What I told you. Okay, I'm not talking about the little details we've been asking you. I'm talking about with Patty. Patty, I don't know. She's been at her sister's house as far as I know. We know Patty's deceased. And Patty's got a gunshot wound to her. And she was found in a tote in that garage.
So you have to tell us everything you know so you don't implicate yourself anymore than you're implicated.
Because here's the thing, Ricky. There's investigative tools we have. We're going to find out exactly when she died, where you were when she died, which I'm betting you were in that house, and you know exactly what happened. No, I don't. I never had a problem with Patty. I'm not saying you had a problem with her. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you know something. I don't know anything. I swear. You don't know this woman Carol. She has with my head. She has cheated on me behind my back without me knowing about it. The only way I found out about it was tripping over stuff, finding it on accident. Her showing me something on her phone, and then all of a sudden, I love you too, baby, pops up on her phone. Why are you with her? We went through counseling this year, tried to make things work, because I love her, I love Allison, and I said she's my home. I really do.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You know, sometimes we cover these stories and they just seem so far away. But today we're looking at a case that really hit close to home, right here in Roseville, back in 2019.
Yeah, this one, it's one of those cases that kind of makes you stop and think like, wait a minute, this could happen anywhere. It really shook the community.
It did. And when you first hear the basic details, it sounds like a story we've heard before.
Right.
Like just another family drama turning deadly.
Right, like just a typical inheritance dispute or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But trust me, this one goes way beyond that. This case gets really, really complicated.
It does. It really highlights how sometimes those closest to us can be the ones to hurt us the most.
It's true. And that's what makes this case so unsettling. So to set the scene, it all begins on January 14th, 2020. Family members contact the police. They're worried because they haven't heard from their loved one in a while.
And that's a good instinct right there, because that simple welfare check, it's what sets the whole investigation in motion.
And when the police arrive at the victim's home, you know who they find there?
Carol Ray, the victim's daughter. And as we'll see, she's right at the center of this whole thing.
It's like she's almost waiting for them.
Yeah, it's a strange detail for sure.
And then the police get a search warrant. And in a detached garage, they find
victim's body hidden inside a storage tub.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
It is. And to make matters worse, the victim had been shot in the back of the head.
Execution style.
Yeah, a clear indication that this was planned. This wasn't some random act of violence.
So we've got a concealed body, a gunshot suggesting premeditation, and the victim's own daughter is present at the scene. It's already a lot to take in. But then you add in the financial aspect and things get even more disturbing.
Oh yeah, the money trail in this case is fascinating. Follow the money, as they say.
Right, exactly. Because while the murder investigation is going on, investigators start noticing some really suspicious activity on the victim's accounts.
Transactions, money being moved. And it all traces back to Carol Ray.
And it's not small amounts either. We're talking significant sums of money.
Right, and here's where it gets really devious. Remember, the police haven't released details about the victim's death to the public.
But Carol Ray is already impersonating her deceased mother.
Using her phone, sending texts to family members. It's like she's trying to pretend everything's normal while she's profiting from her mother's death.
It's a level of manipulation that is just mind-blowing. And it's not just financial exploitation. She's messing with her family's emotions, too.
Right, playing on their grief and worry. It's just cold.
So at this point, the police have a lot to work with. A hidden body. Evidence of financial exploitation. a suspect who is actively impersonating the victim.
But they're just getting started. The investigation is about to uncover even more shocking details about this case and about Carol Ray.
This case is really messed up. And what's crazy is that all of this is happening right here in Roseville, the place we think of as safe and quiet.
It just goes to show that darkness can lurk anywhere, even in the most seemingly ordinary places.
And sometimes the biggest threat can come from those we trust the most, our own family.
Exactly. That's what makes this case so disturbing and so compelling. And we'll dive deeper into all of that after a quick break.
It makes you wonder, how well do we really know the people in our lives?
Yeah, you think you have the sense of community, this feeling of safety, and then something like this happens and it really shakes those assumptions.
Definitely. And I think that's what really struck people about this case. It wasn't just the brutality of the crime.
No.
It was the fact that it happened here.
In Roseville.
In their own backyard.
Yeah. And it involved people they might have known or seen around town. I was reading some of the local news coverage from back then, and one of the victim's neighbors said something that really stuck with me. They said, "It's like a nightmare you can't wake up from."
Oh, wow. That's powerful. And it really captures that sense of disbelief and shock that people were feeling.
It does, because here's this quiet community where people, probably felt comfortable leaving their doors unlocked. And then suddenly they're confronted with this horrific crime. It's like a violation.
A violation of that sense of security.
Yeah,
exactly. And it forces them to question everything they thought they knew about their surroundings and the people around them.
And it's not just the community as a whole that's impacted. Think about the victim's family.
Oh, I know. It's just heartbreaking to have lost their loved one in such a horrific way. And then to find out that it was her own daughter who is responsible. It's almost too much to bear.
It's an unimaginable betrayal.
Yeah.
So with all this evidence mounting against Carol Ray, the police move forward with an arrest.
Right, and she's officially charged with first-degree murder, felony firearm use, and grand larceny.
Okay, so for those of us who don't speak legalese, can you break those charges down for us?
Sure. So first-degree murder, in this case, means that the prosecution believes Carol Ray planned and intentionally killed her mother.
So it wasn't a heat-of-the-moment thing, it was premeditated.
Right, exactly. And that's a big deal in terms of the potential sentence. Then you have felony firearm use, which means a gun was used in the commission of the murder.
And grand larceny, what does that one entail? That one refers to the theft of a significant amount of money or property.
Ah, so that ties back into all those suspicious transactions we were talking about earlier.
It does. The prosecution is basically saying that Carol Ray not only murdered her mother, but she also systematically stole from her.
It paints a pretty damning picture of her.
It does. And the evidence against her is substantial. Yeah. You have the physical evidence, like the body, the gunshot wound, the storage tub, and then you have the financial records showing the money trail from the victim to Carol Ray.
And the witness testimonies, too, right?
Yes, including those from family members who received those fake texts and calls from Carol Ray pretending to be her mother.
Wow, so it seems like a pretty solid case. But were there any other suspects?
There was one other person who was initially questioned, a 34-year-old male acquaintance of Carol Ray.
Interesting. So maybe an accomplice or someone who knew something about the crime.
Yeah, that was the thought at first. But he was eventually released and never charged. It seems like the investigators were just trying to be thorough.
Making sure they explored all possibilities?
Exactly. But ultimately, all signs pointed back to Carol Ray as the one responsible for this whole scheme.
Wow. So this case that started with a simple welfare check has now turned into a full-blown murder investigation with the victim's own daughter as the prime suspect.
And as you can imagine, the Roseville community is completely captivated by this case. Everyone's waiting to see what will happen next.
Well, let's talk about that. What happens when this case actually goes to trial?
Things get even more intense when this case lands in the courtroom. The stakes are higher, the emotions are raw, and the whole community is watching closely to see if justice will be served.
I could only imagine what it was like in that courtroom, waiting for the jury to come back with a verdict.
I bet it was intense. You have the lawyers and the judge and everyone playing their parts. But really, it all comes down to those 12 jurors.
Those 12 people have to decide someone's fate. It's a huge responsibility.
It is. And in a case like this, where the emotions are so high and the evidence is so disturbing, it must have been incredibly difficult for them to reach a decision.
So after days of deliberation, the jury finally returns with a verdict.
Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, felony firearm use, and grand larceny.
Wow, guilty on all charges. I bet the courtroom was stunned.
Yeah, there was this like collective gasp. You could feel the weight of the verdict. For the victim's family, it was a bittersweet moment. A sense of relief that justice had been served, but also a profound sadness that nothing could bring their loved one back.
And what about Carol Ray? What was her reaction to the verdict?
Throughout the trial, she had been so stoic, almost emotionless. And even when they read the guilty verdict, she didn't flinch.
It's hard to imagine being in that situation and not showing any emotion at all.
I know. It's like she'd built up this wall around herself, maybe a way to cope with the gravity of what she had done.
Or maybe she just didn't care.
That's possible too, but we can only speculate about what was going on in her mind.
So a guilty verdict means there's a sentencing hearing, right?
That's right. And in this case, a first-degree murder conviction carries a very serious sentence.
How much time was she facing?
In California, it can be anywhere from 25 years to life in prison.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is. And during the sentencing hearing, both the prosecution and the defense have a chance to make their case.
I bet the victim's family had a lot to say.
They did. They gave these incredibly powerful impact statements talking about their loss, their pain, and how Carol Ray's actions had shattered their lives.
And what about Carol Ray? Did she say anything?
Even at her sentencing, she maintained her innocence. She claimed that she had been wrongly accused.
It's like she was living in a different reality.
It is. And it just goes to show how complex the human mind can be, how someone can commit such a horrific act and still deny any responsibility.
It's really unsettling.
It is. And it leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions about human nature and the darkness that can lurk within seemingly ordinary people.
Well, this has been a really heavy case to unpack.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to talk about these kinds of stories, even the ones that are hard to hear.
I agree. Because they remind us that even in a place like Roseville, tragedy can strike. And that evil can sometimes wear a familiar face.
And that we need to be aware of the potential for darkness, even in those we trust the most.
Exactly. Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Roseville tragedy, I want to thank you for joining us on this journey. It's been a tough one, but I hope you've learned something from it.
I know I have, and I hope our listeners have too. Remember to be kind to one another. Be aware of your surroundings, and never take your safety for granted.
That's great advice. And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.